I'm going to show you today my version of braided challah. I'm going to use a stiff sourdough starter. I already prepared advance. So this is 50% hydration. This is pretty stiff. Later you can see. I'm going to measure out here 100 grams. But first let me show you. I have 150 grams of milk, 30 grams of butter, 1 egg yolk, 5 grams of salt, and 40 grams of sugar. For simplification, I put everything here together. And I have 250 grams of flour. I'm using the same pan quinine. Let's start with the starter. I'm gonna measure out 100 grams. I'm gonna just use my hands so you can see the consistency of this. This is pretty stiff. Actually, if I'm okay, so you can just see this is one piece of dough. I have to tear 100 grams of it. It's a little bit sticky, but don't worry. Okay, this is 100 grams. The rest I'm gonna just use and feed it later, refresh it. So put it aside. So this is a very simple version. I'm gonna put every ingredient here and mix it first, except the butter. So you don't need to add the sugar or the salt separately. Just mix everything in. 250 grams of flour. I'm going to add the sugar and salt. My egg yolk. And the milk. And I start mixing. I use the hook attachment. Okay. And later, when it's already mixed a little bit, let's say 1 minute, I'm going to add my starter. Okay, let's mix this on a slow speed first, and I'm going to increase it after it comes together. The dough should be pretty stiff, but not as stiff as a bagel. So it's just nice and elastic that you can roll it later. We're going to divide it to 3 equal parts and we're going to braid it. So for that we have to roll it out. And if it's too loose and if the hydration is too high, it can't hold its shape. At this part, if I need to adjust, let's say you're using a different kind of flour, maybe it needs a different hydration, you can still add milk or, yeah. Now it comes together. I'm gonna stop and add my starter. Okay. Let's start again. It looks stiff, but later we're going to add the butter. it will ease up the dough a little bit. If you're not sure, you can stop it anytime and just check it with your hand. Okay, at this point I'm going to turn it a little bit higher. Yeah, and let's just wait a few minutes until the gluten developed enough. Okay, now our dough has been mixing about 5 minutes now, or 6. It nicely come together. I try to show it to you. It's still a bit dense, which is cold in here, but we're gonna add the butter and let's see after that. If we need to adjust, we can still add a little bit of milk. I'm going to just add half of the butter first and start on a slower speed. And when the butter incorporates it, I'm going to speed it up. Let's just wait. Okay. Now it doesn't stick to the wall anymore. I can add a second half. That's it. And after this, I just knead until the gluten fully developed. Okay, now that our dough is ready, I'm going to stop it. All right. Get the dough off the hook. And we're going to let it rest for an hour, maximum 2 hours. But this is a straight dough method, so you should not wait too long. Okay, I show you, this is the consistency. It's nice and shapeable. It can hold the shape, but not too stiff and not too wet. So I'm gonna just give it a roll and leave it. Shape it into a ball. Okay, I'm gonna place it back to here and leave it for an hour. Okay, now that we are waited 1 hour, I'm gonna take the dough out and divide into 3 equal pieces. And for this, I prefer not to use too much flour. So first I'm gonna weight the full piece of ball. It says 604 grams. So I'm gonna divide it into 200 grams of pieces. 200. Okay, a little bit more. All right, that's it, and I'm gonna pre-shape it into almost a ball, but I would say rather a small bread shape. So later it's easier to roll it out into a long cigar shape. There's so many possibilities. This is just one. This is the most basic. This is a 3-thread braid. You can do 4, 5, 6 and braid it if you can braid that. All right, so I let it sit for 10 minutes and then I'm gonna roll it out. Okay, now I'm gonna roll these out by hand. I'm just using my palm, and as you can see, I want to keep this shape a little bit thicker in the middle and nicely thins out at the end. That's it. Try to do 3 equally shaped dough. You can just pinch it, start in the middle, and I'm using my hand to This is pretty easy. You just have to add a little bit more pressure at the end, like open palm. After this, we're gonna braid them quickly, so your dough can prove in that shape, already braided. If it's not sealed well on the bottom, just pinch it, it's fine. We're gonna roll anyway, so it won't be visible. And once again, just don't use any dusting flour, because your dough gonna slip and you won't be able to shape it. Mine is slip-free a little bit, but it's because the dough is a few more degrees colder than it should be, but it's still fine. Okay, that's it. Now that we have our challah strands, I'm gonna quickly braid them. Just a simple 3-strand braid. I start from the middle. It's much easier and it will be more symmetric. That's it. You pinch the end together, pull it a little bit, and you continue on the other side. And pinch them together. That's it. I'm gonna move it here. Immediately after shaping, I'm gonna apply the egg wash. This keeps the surface moist. Nice. I'm gonna do this now, and I'm gonna do another egg wash just before I bake it. At home, I don't have a proofer, of course, so what I usually do, this dough you can put in your oven, your empty and turned off the oven, and just boil a cup of hot water and put underneath the tray, so it will keep the dough moist and nicely warm. And let it proof for around 3, 4, 5 hours depending on your strength of your starter. You will see it will expand like 40% increase in volume. It will be nice if you touch it a little bit, it will be very soft, spongy, and that is the time when you have to bake. Okay, so the challah is ready to bake. I'm gonna preheat the oven, but first I'm gonna use and install this air reductor kit. And the fakiro tray. I'm gonna bake the challah on this. Wow, beautiful. Okay, there it is. Bon appetit.